Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 3rd to the 9th of March 2025. So we've seen a lot of movement in the more personal planets of late, and we start the week with Mars having gone direct last week. So it's worth recapping the Mars retrograde journey, taking us back to October, and will take us all the way through to the 2nd of May. And if you remember, we've been having some Mars and Pluto oppositions as well, and there's one more of those to come. So the whole phase will complete around the beginning of May, but Mars retrograde in Cancer and in Leo. What's your journey been from October to early December with the awareness phase, and then the retrograde through until last week, and then the direct? Do we see any active results of things that we've gone in and changed? This will be on a level of finding your inner passion and purging out any repressed anger. So depending on where end of Cancer and beginning of Leo is in your chart, you may be able to track the journey that you've been on. Have you purged? Do you feel impassioned and recentered and directed? So for example, if you've got Cancer in the 4th house, you may have renewed your family dynamic at home. You may have mended relationships with the mother. You may have moved homes or changed home environment. Or you may have just found some more stable, solid ground to stand on. All aspects there of the 4th house are roots, family and psychology. So very volatile energy, very necessary. Only happens as a retrograde every 2 years. So for Cancerians especially, very energising. Retrograde, if you've known how to use the energy correctly. Yesterday, Venus turned retrograde. Venus and Mercury are going to be retrograding over the same degrees that we spoke about at the end of Pisces into the beginning of Aries. So Venus retrograde takes us in to find our value. What do we care about? What's in our heart? What's our heart's desires? And retrograding to begin with in Pisces, this is a very pure and simple, but yet very profound feeling. If you ask many people what their desire is, it might be for a physical change in the outside, a new job, a new house, a car. And yet Venus in Pisces would be asking you on a more spiritual, soulful level, what do you really desire? Probably more a state of being. Do you desire to feel at ease? Do you desire well-being, better connection, deeper relationships? So zone in on this one more as a feeling rather than external objects. From January the 29th to now was the awareness. So take yourself back to late January. Have desires been rising in you? Desire to feel differently, to go deeper, to purify. And Venus actual retrograde will be now until the middle of April, which is lining up to be a very significant time with lots of activity culminating at that point. So we're making the necessary changes. How we value ourselves often is reflected back to us on how the world values us. Low self-esteem can lead to bullying or being stepped over, whereas increased self-esteem has a sense of presence, doesn't have to be forced on anyone or shouted to the rooftops, but generally tends to create an aura where other people can feel that and act with more respect around you. So whether it's self-worth, whether it's getting into the heart rather than the head, whether it's being more present, more creative, or even more abundant, Venus retrograde is where we need to go in and explore what changes are necessary. So again, if we apply that to our own chart, the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aries, if that was in your 6th house, then you'd be looking at the use of your daily energy. Where are you not being effective? Where can you simplify or delegate or rearrange to make your life less effort and more gain? That would be an example of having Venus retrograde in the 6th house. So the houses are really important as we place these very powerful transits. I feel everything's got more powerful since 2016. Then it's worth tracking each of them, placing them in your chart, observing the first shadow aspect, what comes up, making the changes during the retrograde, and then expecting the benefits in the 2nd shadow period. And as mentioned, next week Mercury will go retrograde, very similar degrees, so we'll be looking at how we can change our mind and our thinking around whatever the issues that are coming up for us are. So lots of forwards and backwards activity there, very reflective, very inward. We're also approaching some eclipses next week as well. So I'd say keep still this week. Just feel into those Pisces deep waters, heighten your intuition, look for signs and symbols, expand your awareness outside of the 5 senses. Use the tarot or pendulum, work with crystals, ask questions and see if you can receive the answers back in whichever way is right for you. As from next week onward with the eclipses, and then going towards the middle of April, we're looking for some much busier and more active times. So a chance for a rest here, to swim in the Piscean waters, cleanse ourselves, purify and flow, tune in deeply to raise our consciousness. Seems to be the theme for this week. So if you would like to see where it's happening for you, I am available zoehines7@gmail.com. Do astrology and tarot readings and courses, coaching, all sorts of practical techniques to help us rinse and get ready for the new frequencies that are coming this spring. I post these videos on my YouTube, Zoe Astro, links on Instagram, zoehines7, and Facebook, AstroZoe. So feel the alignment, everything in one place. It's very intense, but yet not really requiring any action right now. Just lots of feeling, lots of awareness, as it's more of a tuning in and a tuning our bodies kind of feeling than a time to really force our energy outwards. So wishing you a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.